This is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for Springfield Township. And as usual, we will begin our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Price, will you call the roll, please?
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Here.
Mr. Young.
Here.
Mr. DeLauro.
Here.
Mr. Spickard.
Here.
There are matters that are on our agenda that I'm going to begin immediately with. My first motion is that I move to dispense with the reading of minutes to date and approve those minutes.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next, I move to approve payment of bills and payroll as prepared by the fiscal officer, subject to audit.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next, I move to acknowledge the receipt from our fiscal officer, Mr. Spickard, of the August 2023 reports, subject to audit.
Second?
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next, I move to acknowledge receipt of the recommendation from the Zoning Commission regarding the subject of adding additional areas of the township in proximity to Springfield Lake, such as to be rezoned to be open conservation, OC district. What we're doing is simply acknowledging receipt of the Zoning Commission's recommendation. And we'll be scheduling a hearing on the question, correct? In other words,
Yes.
it
There will
comes
be
to
a
this
hearing,
board
yes.
to act upon.
There is a hearing scheduled for the 28th.
Okay. Did we incorporate that in the motion? That probably ought to be.
Yes. No, you should.
So I would acknowledge, my motion would be to acknowledge receipt of their recommendation and to schedule hearing on the application for rezoning of areas to open conservation. That meeting to be set for September 28th.
September 28th during our regular meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next, I move to approve supplemental appropriations for 2023 as shown on Exhibit A, which has been prepared by the fiscal officer and that we submitted to Summit County Fiscal Office. And Mr. Spickard, those are primarily amendments to appropriations to make sure we pay all the bills to the end of the year.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro.
Yes.
Next, I move to adopt the attached resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Summit County Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the Summit County Fiscal Office. Now, if I have this correctly, this is kind of the mid-year budgeting process. Is that correct? I mean, it seems as though we've approved all these matters previously.
Some of that, we have the alternative tax budget, which utilized the rates, the millage rates that apply to the various levies for various purposes. And we have to make another resolution to affirm the rates that the county intends to actually levy against properties for the various taxes. So it's a two-step process. It could be all done at one time. I'm not sure why, other than maybe the state they're following the state's procedures on that.
So I assume this is something that's given to every department head that is affected by it. I mean, it comes back to the estimate of available resources.
Well, this is just a preliminary estimate. The one that you have right there, we've already approved that. That's the alternative tax budget. There's another document that stipulates the rates. I don't know that I see that in your pile there, but that shows the effective millage rates that apply against the property valuation in the township and the estimated revenues expected from that for each levy. And that ends up on that document there. But that's not what we're approving now. We're approving the tax rates themselves, not the preliminary budget for 2024, but the tax rates just for the property tax levies.
And-
I just check it to make sure it didn't change from the prior year unless we had a levy change like we did on the police
Okay.
side, that I'm expecting to see something different. I'm expecting to see a higher revenue estimate, and that's what we had for last year. But this year, everything's the same.
How frequently does the county issue that estimate of resources that will come from the effective rates?
Just this one time, because it shouldn't change unless either your levies, percentage, millage rates change, or your property valuations change. And we know we're going to see a property valuation change, but that has a mixed effect on what we collect. It's not a one-for-one linear relationship. So property values go up 40%, we don't collect 40% in additional property taxes.
Right.
It's a very odd system.
Yeah, the revenue to be generated remains constant,
Generally
and the
speaking,
effective rate is reduced.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, I move the adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
I move to certify the total cost for the abatements of the properties shown on Exhibit B, and to instruct the fiscal officer to forward to Summit County Auditor the report of township action regarding abatement for the total cost to be placed upon the tax duplicate as a lien upon the land. Now, these are essentially the costs that we have incurred to mow properties.
Right.
Were there any demolition of properties that were certified?
No, we didn't have any this year
Okay.
thus far.
The only ones we had were properties we retained.
Correct.
Okay. That's my motion.
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro, you have some matters for the fire department?
Yes. I move to approve the attached resolution approving an amendment to a certain master lease agreement number 77511 dated June 9th, 2020, and adding equipment schedule number 005 dated August 15th, 2023 between Huntington Public Capital Corporation and Springfield Township.
I would second that. That's for the,
The
The-
new ambulance, right?
no, this is for the, what do they call them? SB,
Oh, the
Self-contained breathing.
self-contained breathing apparatuses, yes.
that's the financing mechanism for that. I would second it.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes. I move to approve the promotional appointment of Grayson Henderson to the position of full-time medic effective October 2nd, 2023, contingent on the satisfactory completion of the physical examination as required by the Ohio Police and Fire Disability Pension Fund, including the satisfactory completion of drug screening. The appointment will follow the terms and conditions of employment as outlined in the current full-time firefighter collective bargaining agreement.
I would second that. He is really a nice young man. We're lucky to get him.
Just because you said that, I am going to vote yes.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro, you have a couple matters for the road department.
Yes, let's see. This gentleman's a nice young man. I move to approve the promotional appointment of Eric Lyle to the position of road foreman effective September 18th, 2023. The appointment will follow the terms and conditions of employment as outlined in the current full-time road department collective bargaining agreement.
I would second that. Eric is also very, very sweet. And he does more than just road things. He does a
Yeah.
lot.
Mr. Weinsheimer, would you like to add anything about this?
Yeah, Eric's been with us for 16 years, long before I got here. He started off in the, I believe in the Parks Department, part-time. He's a lifelong resident of Springfield Township. And so he's pretty much done all the different jobs, everything from the bottom up. He's AC certified mechanic, brings another level of, experience there and knowledge that helps us out as well. I think he's going to make a really good foreman for us in the future, and we got a lot more years with him.
I want to say that I first saw him working here when he was still in high school and had moved into a position full-time as soon as you graduated, I think. And so has done a tremendous job for us. And we have a lot of expectations of you for the future. So I think that there's unanimity in our feelings. But
Yes.
each day, we'll keep our eye on it.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Is
Yes.
this where he gives a speech, huh?
Is
Oh,
this,
we did.
we call him up?
Should bring him up.
Maybe the paper will interview him after the meeting. And another appointment here, at the recommendation of our newly appointed foreman, I'd like to move to approve the appointment of Logan Tompkins to the position of road maintenance worker effective September 18th, 2023. The appointment will follow the terms and conditions of employment as outlined in the current full-time road department collective bargaining agreement.
Second?
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman, you have a couple matters for the police department.
I move to remove Officer Steven Sivdron from probationary status effective 9/7/23.
This is upon the recommendation of the chief.
Yeah. Stephen does a nice job for us. He works whatever shifts he's asked to work. He's been spending the last few months on night shift. He's a nice young man, so yeah, we're excited that we're going to be able to move him from probationary employee now.
He was
Okay.
great.
I would second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
I move to amend motion 182-23 to hire Eric East as a part-time police officer effective 8/14/23 to 8/7/23.
I would second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
And Mrs. Chapman, I think you have a matter relevant to the center on the lake.
I move to approve the attached quote from Rizzi's Distributors Incorporated in the amount of $19,520.84 for new appliances. Planetary mixer, reach-in freezer, 2 reach-in refrigerators, an ice maker, and convection oven, and paid from Fund Line 1000930-930-0000. This purchase is an 85% reimbursable grant through the Direction Home Area Agency on Aging and Disabilities.
I would second it.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
Do either of our members have announcements to make? Chief, you want to announce the car show?
We do have a car show, which it's a fundraiser for our canine program, which is fully funded by donations and help from the community and local businesses. It's going to be on September 8th here at the lakefront from 9 a.m., October 8th. Thank you, Mr. DeLauro. October 8th on the lakefront from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if anybody has any classic cars or hot rods, we encourage you to come to our event. We're also going to have vendors, we're going to have food at the event, so it should be a nice time.
All right. And Spectrum Community Channel 1023 is the Springfield Lakemore Community Channel. It's proud to serve the community by providing access to our local government meetings, as well as programming and information on community events. Tune in to local Spectrum Channel 1023 for a selection of the recent programming. We are excited to announce that the trustees meetings are now broadcasted live on Channel 1023. We are currently running special programs of Springfield Summers concerts. The community members may now access all current and past programming on demand via the new YouTube channel. Find it by searching Springfield Lakemore Community Channel on YouTube. Even more community information is available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on our blog. All right, please let us know of any event or activity in the Lakemore Springfield community that you would like to see featured on this channel. Remember, it's your channel, so let us know how they can best serve you. The following programs are currently running: the Springfield Concert Series Overboard, Part 2, the Springfield Concert Series Eclipse from August 4th, Old Forge from August 11th, the Springfield Board of Education meeting from August 15th, and the Lakemore Council meeting from August 21st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other announcements or matters that have to come before the board? If not, I'm going to move that we adjourn.
Second?
Okay.
Roll call, Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes,
Mr. DeLauro?
Yes.
we stand adjourned.